Go play. Alright folks, hope you're doing well. Just telling Ben Beanie to go play. Well, pretty soon he's going to start going into these areas actually. Yeah, pretty soon. Well, at the moment, the weather here is... I'm not going out in the car at all. It got to about -7, I think, last night. And right now, it's probably about -4, I think. At the moment. And it's now, what, just gone 6 p.m. I mean, it's about -4 already. So, yeah. I won't be going out in the car later. I'll be going out later. You know, for a walk myself. But not in the car. No. No, just, you know, I've got something on the front window screen to sort of protect that a bit from the ice, but you don't need to bother with anything else right now. That'll do. Yep. I think I'll have to, won't it, really? Nothing much I can do about it. So, yeah. It's the weather. It's what it is. Okay, this video, what was just on my mind, actually. Now, it's an interesting point. Should the River Church and the Community Church of God, should they come together and create one church out of the two? Because from what I know of them, the River Church struggles to get young people. They've got a predominant older sector of people there. Yeah, the majority of the people are way over 60 in that church. Whereas the Community Church of God has a lot of younger people. The River Church has a pastor, Community Church of God doesn't. As far as I know, I don't think they do yet. No. So they need a pastor. I mean, both leadership teams are absolute crap, as they are. But I think if they came together, they would have enough people in there to have a good leadership team. If they did things according to God. Which I don't think they would, so... Coming together, it might just be the death of both churches in one go. Yeah. But it will solve some things. I was thinking about the debt that the River Church has. Well, I was thinking earlier about the fact of you go to Banff to look at the River Church in Banff, and then you go to Elgin, and the difference is, it is like chalk and cheese. It's like having a chalk sandwich and a cheese sandwich. Completely different. Yeah. It's so much more professional in Banff than it is in Elgin. Because I think the one in Elgin probably needs at least... Well, they've got a £10,000 debt. So if you look at how much money needs to be spent, you're looking at probably another 15 to 20 grand. So you're looking at... They need £25,000 to £30,000 to be spent or to be available for the church to get up to a more professional level. It just isn't there. Not in any way, shape or form. I'd say you could probably put another 5 to 10,000 on top of that. So 35 to 40,000 is what they need. The problem is with an older generation, you never get that. Because so many of the people in the church are retired. They're not working now. So if they're not working, they can't exactly gift, good sums of money to the church in order to, help the church to move forwards. So that's not helpful. Yeah. Now, of course, do I think these two churches will come together? No, I don't believe so. No. But with the issue of should they? I think they should. Because to me, I don't see the point in the Elgin Community Church being where it is. I mean, it's not a Pentecostal church by any way, shape or form. If you look at the identity about the way the church behaves and how they do things, it is not a Pentecostal church at all. It doesn't really believe in the gifts of Pentecost or any of that anymore. So therefore, take Pentecostal off your title. Yeah. Church of God? Again, no. They're not that. But, put it this way. If those two churches put the best of each other together and created something, I think they could create something a lot better. I've no doubt about that. If they put the best of each other together, I think they could create something better. Will they? No. No, I don't think so. Not in any way, shape or form. Be an interesting thing though. I mean, I'd certainly say in the future, I think if God's going to sort things out, then I think we're going to have a lot less churches. Well, I think the whole idea of church buildings, no, I think they're going to go out the window. Well, put it this way. If the church starts behaving according to God, then the devil is going to start attacking the church. One way the devil is going to attack the church will be on rates. This whole point where the church at the moment has a charitable status, it won't. It has a charitable status because at the moment it is of no threat whatsoever to the devil, so therefore he doesn't need to attack it. If it's doing things according to God, then he will start attacking it, and one way would be the finances. So all this charitable status will be taken off. It's a business, and it'll be treated as a business. And as a business, it won't have to pay its taxes, it won't have to, deal with that. Council tax for the property and everything. What it's paying now, I do not know, but I know churches do have a good deal with regards to the government. But as I say, I think that will be taken away. I mean, when I talk about the leadership of the churches, again, I go back to the fact of that meeting after the Queen's funeral, where the leader, Lauren, was talking about the fact we've got a new king, we've got a new leader of government, and this leader of government is going to bring in a new wave to make the church more successful and to make it easier for the church. What should lasted 2 weeks. So would you say that was foresight by this lady, the one in charge of the Tuesday night meeting? Would you say that she was, receiving things from God? No. Was she being led by the Holy Spirit in making those statements? No. We have it all the time. Every time we have a new leader, this leader is going to make things better for the church. Do they ever? No, because they're all from the same crop. Of course they're all from the same crop. Because to be a leader of the world, you've got to be willing to basically, walk over people at the least. If not, stab people in the back. Sometimes in the front. You've got to be that type of person who wants to rise to the top, and you'll do anything to get there. You really think a person like that is going to help the church to be better? It's going to care less about the church? The person in charge of the country is going to be one of the most demonic people in your country. Always. The way the system is, that will be the case. One of the people that certainly I looked at years ago as being someone that would have been interested to lead would have been Michael Foot. Michael Foot was the Labour leader when Maggie Thatcher got in. No, was that Neil Kinnock? Might have been Neil Kinnock. Was Michael Foot the leader of the unions? I'm not sure. It's something like that. But anyway, Michael Foot looked like a nice older person who was experienced. He seemed to have a nice attitude. He seemed to be a very genuine person. I could be completely wrong about that. But he never got anywhere. Never. Not in any way, shape or form. Like, for example, I thought Ian Duncan Smith looked like a lovely person, a very genuine human being. A very genuine person who actually cared for people. But he came into power where he actually got the... I can't remember if he actually got the leadership, but if he did, it was only for a very, very short amount of time. And that was at the time when people were having enough of the Tories. But he always come across as a very intelligent person, as a person who had a heart for people. He wasn't your typical Tory. Upper class swat, or upper class twit, who has genes wrong, because its family had been mixing together with sisters marrying brothers or cousins marrying cousins, and therefore they're a bit weird. Like the normal Oxbridge or Cambridge sort of spit out. He didn't come across as that. Like Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson is a typical what you expect a Tory to be. He really is. Typical. Now, Ian Duncan Smith isn't that. But he never got back into power. He never got back. And because of the fact he's a genuine person. He's not a complete a-hole. So the whole idea that a new leader is going to make things better for the church, where would that be coming from? Yeah, all these months after, I'm still astonished by the absolute stupidity that come out of people's mouths on that night. Absolutely astonished by it. Just amazed. And these are the people that are leaders of that church. It just, yeah, it makes no sense at all to me. Not at all. It just, there are levels of insanity there. With some of the things that were said that night. Including, now the Queen has died, the church doesn't have a head. Yeah, just ridiculous stupidity. And that was encouraged by the leader. So the whole point where this woman says, I slag off the church and people in the church. No, I'm speaking truth about the level of stupidity that was there in that church at that time. I mean, it was alarming. Incredibly alarming. When you hear people say this sort of stuff, it's alarming. Yeah, when I heard that Alexander speak and his ministry, it was alarming. Especially alarming that people were going up to him and saying, well done. That was alarming. Incredibly alarming. Even after the point that, as I say, on that morning of that service, on that Sunday morning, I got in early because they'd actually made an appeal for people to go in and pray for the church. So on the first occasion I had, I went to do that. And was told off for being in a church at a time that I'm not allowed to be in a church. Yeah, completely demonic. Who are these people saying when people should be allowed in church? Yeah, this is supposed to be God's church. Who should be the one in charge of this? It has to be God, not them. But there was a tinge of nastiness to it. Completely and utterly unnecessary. As I say, if the rule is that the pastor has to agree, then first of all, on a Tuesday night meeting when they mentioned it, their appeal for people to come in, they should have said you need to speak to the pastor first, of course. If that's a provision, if that's how it has to happen, it should have been mentioned there. Don't have a go at me for coming in. Have a go at the people for not mentioning that. Obviously. But don't have a go at me for coming in anyway. Anyone who comes in, thank them for coming in, even if they're coming without the permission of the pastor. Even if they come in, just out of the goodness of their heart, they're coming to pray for the church. If they're coming out of the goodness of their heart to pray for the church, thank them. Don't be nasty. Don't be telling them you've got no right to be in here. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. I'm still astonished by all of that. The reason why I still speak of things is because I'm still amazed by the things I saw at that church. I'd say it had been, not that long, obviously. But if I discount the Church of God because of Manuel and because of Manuel's influence, I can discount that and say, no, that would have been Manuel, so I can say that's not the church, it's the leader. Then really, if I discount that church, it would have been 8 or 9 years since I've been in a church. And what I saw going into the River Church, when I first started seeing the church and seeing what they were really like, oh my God. Yeah, I've used the words horrifying. I've used the words alarming. Yeah. Yeah, that's about the way I put it, really. Yeah. And well, another thing I was thinking about earlier. Yeah, if you go back to the videos where I was talking about the worship conference, before the worship conference, I was saying I expect it to make no difference. I expect it to have no impact. I expect it to be the usual crap that there's been in church. And how did it end? It ended with songs talking about it's all about you, Jesus, and I put my trust in you alone, Jesus. So completely discounting Father and Holy Spirit. Yeah, well done. Yeah. So was I correct on that? Yeah. Look, I wasn't correct based upon the fact I was wishing it to be bad, but I was looking at the evidence. The evidence being that when I challenged the young lady who was practicing the worship about the song and it should be about them, she gently, very, very gently bit my head off. Saying that she wants to see him. So basically saying, no, it should be about me. There was the evidence of that. There was the evidence of that Tuesday night meeting after the Queen and the craziness with regards to that. You know, there was other evidence. The evidence of the pastor not being able to let go of stuff, and the evidence that the church is completely focused on pointing to Jesus, 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 when there is still Father and Holy Spirit. And it was obvious that God is not going to actually bless that worship conference while they're focusing all their attention on one element, because that's demonic. Where the Bible talks about Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and you completely discount Father and Holy Spirit, and you want to have a worship conference where you're basically blaspheming against the Father and the Holy Spirit, it was unfortunately pretty obvious that it wasn't going to go incredibly well. Especially in a church where they have to say things that are encouraging, they can't say anything that's challenging. It has to be encouraging. All the time. So anything that's light and truth, but it's painful light and truth, you can't have that. No. In a worship conference, to take the worship from where it is to where it needs to be, there needs to be truth. And it's obvious there won't be truth. So, yeah. So, there you go. Yeah, I've spoken about the same things again. Anyway, there you go. You take care. God bless. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.